folks that are in my talk choose to come back in the room there. There are a number of folks that are very involved in this work and highlighting, so hopefully they'll come back in. But basically, I want to start and kind of frame up why we're here, okay? This space is innovation, right? So we have 100 people in the room today, and this space is for the collaboration of those people to achieve innovation and make a difference in the world. And the way I want to think about it first is, due to some of our social societal constructs at the time, we all come here with a business card, right? So most of you in this room probably have a business card. On that business card, it probably has one job title, maybe two. I've got two on here. How many people in the room do more than the job title on their business card? All right, so we're getting off to a good start there. So, and when we say job title, and we all admit that we're doing more than one job, why do we do more than one job? Well, it's probably because we're passionate. We give to sense about what we're doing. So this passion is driving us to come to this space today. Most people in this room chose to come here, right? The company didn't force you to come here. People want to come here. And so, you know, I see year after year I've been here. I've been at every mining conference. This is the 9th year for me. Many faces in this audience are instrumental in where I am today. I have a lot of mentors in this room. I also have new faces in this room. That's exactly what we want. We want the people who have been here and the new people to be talking. Because if it's the same people every time, it's just going to go in a circle. So I encourage folks to branch out, talk to people you don't know that are in, because that's where we're going to make progress. So that's collaboration. So I'm here to give present-day examples of this collaboration to reach the common goal of remediation, or as I, as a scientist, would put it, our passion to improve the natural world that we live in, which supports our very existence. And so a little bit quickly about me. I've been involved with MSI for 15 years. My first two jobs out of college were the time container at Beaver monitor and a Fen restoration technician on the top of Middle Creek watershed. Nothing to do with mining, okay? But I quickly fell in love with the concepts of water and this space and this place. That led me to going back to school and getting a PhD in hydrology and water resource management. My PhD dissertation actually has a chapter in it called Source Controls and Targeted Remediation. Pretty on point with what Dan was talking about this morning. This was 10 years ago. So by training, I'm a geographer. I'm in the geography department. Also mentioned today, what is geography? Well, it's studying space and time. So those are the first two things I want to set up a little framework. Next slide. So we need to have a framework for why we're here. Okay, so space and time, that's geography to me. Human time, we're a blip on this time scale. These mountains are 25 to 30 years old. They've been looking down on this watershed for a lot longer than we've been here. Maybe 2-3 generations in this room, out of 2,000 generations of human time. So that's an even smaller bit. Landscape before and after. And during this time, we've caused different forms of degradation of the environment. And we're still doing it. And it's required for us to exist. We all know that we need extractive resources to this business, to have our cell phones be on our emails in the back of the room while we're talking. So, present and future is the time we have to reverse and minimize the degradation of our ecosystems. And the faster we get on to make improvements, the more of this human time that we can spend in closer harmony with this time is now. The person in this room is really important, instrumental in Bill Simon. Bill Simon just speak the other day, and one of his comments was, we are approaching a state of ecosystem collapse. We've been talking about it for 50 years, and when I say ecosystem, it's not just the human environment, it's also the ecological and human environment, it's the interplay, and we need to step up and address those issues now. So next slide. In terms of space, what are we talking about in space, okay? Space can be a soil sample or a point in the water where you're taking a measurement. Space can be a watershed, space can be an ecosystem. There's a lot of different scales of space, and we need to consider those when we're talking about innovation. So, what I'm going to show you next, these are my only 2 slides of text, because I've learned a long time ago you can either talk, the audience can either listen to me talk, or they can read the text. So next I'm going to have pictures, so hopefully you can listen and enjoy the pictures. So I'm going to give examples of how we're currently performing innovative ways at many scales, and help spur collaboration. In the following slides, there is more than a dozen people in this room that are in those slides, and I've had the opportunities to work with them. So what's important to me, it's not a one solution fits all, but rather small innovative building blocks put together by folks like you every day in your job. I know there's people in this room who have told me I innovate every single day. And so, again, and then at the end, we're going to bring it back to remembering that there's other creatures on this ecosystem that have been here long before us, and they'll probably be here long after us. Next slide. So, what we're talking about, I have a lot of slides. Every slide can be an entire talk, but that's not the goal. The goal is to bring the picture together. We're talking about bulkheads. That's an innovative thing that's happened here over the last 20 years, and there's still more improvement to have on those. This is an example of a Red Bonita bulkhead built, hasn't been tested yet. That's the mobile bulkhead. There's O&M with bulkheads, okay? You don't put a cement plug in and that's it. So I'm just giving you an example. This is the technology that we started here. Not started here, but we've been starting to apply here and continue to be used. Next slide. In terms of point source innovation, monitoring draining mines under variable conditions. That's a tremendous challenge here. We want to fix a draining mine. We first need to know what the heck's going on in that mine. How much is it draining? How does it change over space of time? So we go to the Blacktop mine. Well, that was a collapsed portal, and we were able to rehab the portal and then put a flow monitoring structure outside of that portal. Well, when you're working at high elevation, it takes some big equipment to be able to do that. So there's some innovation just in that. I'll touch on that later. Elk Tunnel. Hard environments to create flow structures. Red Bonita, we have a bulkhead. We're using pipe flow sensors to monitor flow out of the bulkhead. And then again, mobile bulkhead for seepage, installation of flumes and flow devices. And these require constant maintenance. Next slide. So, talking about innovative protection devices, 2 pieces of plywood came in really important this last winter. This is that Black Hawk flume that we put out. We said we need a snow shed over this flume because it's going to snow here. Maybe what's this date? Maybe May this year, June. This is this. That's inside it once we dug it out. Luckily, I said I think it's here. We hit it with the snow probe. We dug it out. We went down, pulled out the transducer in there, and hourly flow data for the Black Hawk mine without a single gap over the entire winter. 6 months, you couldn't see that. So that's a small scale innovation. Next step. Site access challenges. We've heard, oh, you can't work here in the winter. You know, we've got half a year, and then it snows. Well, yeah, it snows. And you got to get to these adits if you want them to work. And so just highlighting the complexities of getting to them. When you have to probe 3 or 4 meters through the snow to get to the portal, dig it out to get to the portal, that takes work, that takes effort human. When you have to change out your precipitation gauge at 11,500 feet, you might have to ski uphill with a 5-gallon bucket of antifreeze. When you get 10 feet of snow in 12 days, March 1st through 12th, in this here, we had historic avalanche slides. That's a picture of County Road 110 right after it reopens. So again, innovation. It took a lot of effort by the county roads crews to be able to get these roads open and get back onto the treatment plans and the other businesses out there here. Next slide. It's not always conventional. You can laugh, and I laughed when the guy said, "Hey, what do you think about llamas?" And I'm not kidding. We took llamas last year. There's a radio repeater tower on the highest point here in the caldera. It's on Tower Mountain, and it allows communications between Kittymac and Gladstone, 2 different sides of the mountain. The radio's going to work without a repeater. We're able to bring repeater devices to the top of the mountain, utilize the ski area's tower with things for weather. Llamas carry the material uphill. This year, some of my staff carried the material uphill, so credit to them as well. So again, innovation, supporting the local business. Not something you would think would draw up in your regular construction plans. Next. Site-wide challenges, water conveyance, okay? We're operating in systems where we're running a water treatment plant in one location. We've got a mine several thousand feet away on the side of the hill. Water needs to get from the mine to the treatment plant. Well, it's not, it doesn't run on its own. It requires a lot of maintenance. The pictures are a little dark. This is a picture of pipe scaling and buildup. In 1 year, a 12-inch pipe might lose 2 or 3 inches on its diameter from iron precipitous scaling. Same thing on our rear structure. This is the trough outside of the flow control structure. And some folks this year actually came up with a great idea we're testing now, is we put these screens in the trough, because one of the things is if an air piece of wood comes out of that mine and down that trough, I could blow up the whole water treatment pipeline. So you've got to have a way, but if that grate clogs up, we also don't get our water to the pipeline. Well, also we get snowstorms in the winter. Sometimes avalanches hit that pipeline. So you've got to keep an eye on that pipeline through the winter and make sure it's not getting moved or dislodged or causing a disruption in the flow of that water. Next slide. So again, I don't want to spend a lot of time. Innovative Techniques Gold King Monitoring Network. Gold King Mine, flow control structure. Behind it, we have a way to constrict the water flow. We have a bunch of instruments measuring that. Folks on the field trips on yesterday. Those instruments talk to a data logger network, which is supported by solar. We have no power, we have no cell phone coverage. And an iridium satellite off of the solar panel goes to the internet. Anybody sitting at their office or on their cell phone can look at real-time water levels behind the volcano. That takes some innovative development to get that system to work, because all of this, and as many folks in this room that have been involved in these parts, are important. We've also taken a monitoring lab and run 800 feet of vented cable to connect to this communication network so we can look at groundwater real time at home on the TV screen next slide. Instrumentation challenges. Institute was here yesterday. This is an example of a point measurement and where there's constant innovation. Folks on my field trip were able to see the use of rotating brushes on the tip of pH conductivity probes to keep them cleared off. Works, still needs more work. In situ rug control, look at the sludge buildup. 15 to 30-day maintenance intervals on these devices. The manufacturers tell me the battery lasts 10 years, you can put it out and deploy it. Well, in 14 days, the data is not looking so good, so I got to go out and check it. So I'm not saying what's right, what's wrong. There's room for innovation. There's room for need to improve that. Labor's expensive. It's hard to get there. We've done beta testing on focal onset pH meters. This is American Tunnel flume, 15 days. Sludge buildup's pretty intense. So folks in that sphere, there's an example of where we need to keep improving. Next slide. Again, high elevation equipment operation. I've got a 12-pound fiberglass flume. I've got a 70-ton excavator placing that flume. The options at the time were a mini-X or a 70-ton excavator. Well, the mini-X doesn't work so good at 11,000 feet. Didn't have enough power. Didn't have enough time to get it up there. So, innovation, modify, use what you have. Next slide. Another example of this. This is the Ben Franklin mine. Ryan Bennett gave me this photo. So this is a closure project that happened just in the last month, 6 weeks. And I was talking to Ryan last night. And I said, well, how much material did you have to bring onto the site? Well, about 100 yards. How do you get that 100 yards there? Put 3 yards at a time in a front-end loader and bring it up the hills. We don't have immediate access to the right size vehicles to put it in a dump truck and get it up Eureka. If you went on the Eureka field trip, that road's not easy, it's not paved. So examples of how do you do this on these remote sites, high elevations? There's constant innovation to figure out how you're going to get stuff, and constant need for better equipment to reduce costs, reduce times. Next slide. Again, I will not speak too much on this, and I know there are many more partners to recognize. I was simply given this as an example of iron terraces. There's a talk later today. Northwind gave me this photo. It's a shot of a newly constructed passive treatment iron terrace system at the Elk Tunnel. Again, let other folks speak on that later, but this is connecting to the next slide. Well, iron terracing, the concept's already occurring on its own in nature. This is the big Colorado mine. We're looking downhill, Natalie Occidental across the creek. This is the collapsed portal. This is the water coming out. 3, 6 GPM a minute, spreading out over the existing mine dump, making these beautiful iron terraces. We've got a lot of biological activity occurring on them, and again, that's an innovative technique. That's working on its own. Nobody's touching that site, and it's starting to do its work. So there's an example of using human power to innovate and see what the environment and try to mimic what the environment does. Next slide. I won't spend much time, but we also need to improve the spatial understanding of our information. We've got a big watershed here. We've got hundreds of mines. 4 years ago, and for the last 30 or 40 years, the only permanent gauging sites for the USGS has four gauges here in town. Well, the mines are upstream in the watershed. If you want to know where the loading is occurring, you need to narrow down that segment where you're putting that in. We've built 17 stream gauges in the last year and a half in the 3 watersheds here. And these stream gauges run year-round. And so it takes a lot of work, but there's an important value in it. The same with figuring out how to build weather stations and study water balance through snowpack analysis or remote environments. Making those networks come together to get better data and quicker is going to help us solve problems like water balance issues. Next slide. Now I want to give you an example of some of the 8-10 projects that have occurred in the last 6 weeks in this mining district that we've been able to be a part of. Stream reach scale innovation, fiber optic distributed temperature sensing. So this is Brian Biggs, USGS, and this is a study that came in. You take several kilometers of fiber optic cable, you line it out in a creek, and you run it, and this can give you high temporal resolution of stream temperatures, 25 centimeter horizontal resolution at time scales of seconds to days. So you can look at diurnal fluxes of groundwater inflows and identify groundwater inflows based on temperature sensing. Fiber optics to learn about groundwater. Innovative. Next slide. Again, at the same time, thanks to EPA ORD and the USGS, we've been doing a bunch of geophysical surveys. Don't have time to go into detail, but in conjunction with the fiber optic studies, we're also using clear thermal imaging and electromagnetic surveys along these stream reaches to combine multiple lines of evidence to figure out where groundwater contributions and loading are occurring in streams. So Steve Dido is a big part of this. Next slide. At the same time as both of those studies, we also had Rob Runkle here at the USGS and graduate students from the University of Colorado, EPA, MSI support, continuous suggestion stream tracer studies using applied tracers and doing that. You'll hear more about that. Highlighting collaborative effort. Graduate students, EPA folks, MSI employees, USGS employees, all in one room, all doing the same thing last week. Next slide. What else did we do last week? Well, we also did groundwater age dating at 34 different sites, including draining adits. So just in the last week, we collected about 450 bottles of water that are going to go to different labs to measure CFCs, SF6, N2 argon, tritium, stable water isotopes, metals, and anions from these sites as a way to have multiple lines of evidence to tell us where different sources of groundwater are connected. So examples of collaborative research to reach common goal. Next slide. Another thing that we've been doing this week is helping out with a biocement pilot test study at the Kitty Mac tailings site. So this is a cleanup site where the tailings are being removed. There's a section of the site that has a historic importance to it. It's a railroad spur. That spur needs to stay there. There's also tailings in that spur. How do we hold the tailings in place? Dan talked about controlling transport of particulates. So this is an example of a pilot test study. The idea here is we're using bioremediation. We're trying to stimulate the existing microbes in the tailing soils to create a biocement and hopefully hold those tailings in place. With respect for the historical preservation of the mining spur, you leave the spur there, you secure the tailings, and you also achieve a healthier environment and less air pollution. Next slide, please. I'll jump over this quick. Can't forget rock glaciers. We need more studying on rock glaciers. They're here. I can show them to you. I can tell you where their signals are. They have contributions with unique geochemical signals. And how do these sources contribute to either metals floating or dilution? Another thing that we need to know more about. Next slide, almost done. Fen ecosystem function. We have fens in this watershed. These fens tend to actually occur underneath mines. And the reason is miners go in and they're looking for ore in fractures and faults. The bottom of those fractures and faults, that's where groundwater comes out of the ground. So we have naturally occurring fen ecosystems underneath these mines. We have situations where we have draining mines running over fens, eroding the peat that's naturally occurring, not allowing the fen ecosystem to function, and potentially support removal of metals before it reaches the stream. MSI has been involved in fen restoration projects for 15 years in this watershed, and we're slowly making progress. Another example of a natural ecosystem that needs help. Next slide, next slide. Landscape scale. I got up at 6 o'clock this morning and I drove out to take these pictures because I want to prove that this is legit. As I said, I was a town and Telluride beaver miner 15 years ago. Beavers are an important part of this ecosystem. I can tell you that according to studies, there were between 250 and 500 million beavers that lived in North America before we came to the West. Trappers came across the West, decimated beavers in a very short period of time. Following that, we had expansion in the West. We came into the West to do mining. Our landscape, as we saw it, as we moved into here, did not have the beavers. People picture nice, straight rivers through towns. That's not how rivers behave. And so what I'm saying is that the beavers are part of this landscape. We talk ecosystem, we talk overall function and keystone species concept. Beavers are very important. Does anybody know what this mine is right on the side of the road? Anglo-Saxon mine. Anglo-Saxon mine has a mine discharge. Between the mine discharge and Cement Creek, guess who moved in? The beavers. The beavers, this wood shoot is this year. This tree was cut down on the side of the highway in the last week. You all drove by it if you went on the field trip. Gary sees it every day. New trees every day. They're here. They're coming back. They want to be in this landscape, okay? And we need to figure out and understand what their function is in the ecosystem and respect the fact that they are part of this ecosystem as well. And what I can tell you, this is passive treatment of the mine. Did Castor canadensis get a permit from the BLM to start this remediation? I don't think so. So they're not waiting. That's what I'm saying. Okay? So they're going to bypass the entire legal system, and they're making progress. Almost. You go to Mineral Creek, as I mentioned, Ben Martinez. What's the #1 picture taken by tourists in Mineral Creek these days? People stop at South Mineral Creek turnoff. They see big bull moose standing there. They take a picture of the moose on the side of the road. How many of those people realize it's the beavers that made the pond and put the moose there in the first place? All connected. Last slide. Again, let's go back to ecosystem scale. Canada Lake, side of the road on the way to Gladstone this winter. Bull moose, Saturday morning, 150 yards above where you're sitting right now. Elk, pika, marmots, bighorn sheep. They were all here before us. They're probably all going to outlive us. How do we want to live in harmony with them? Final slide. Questions? And I know that we're behind on time, so.
No, we're good.
I got the 5-minute warning before 5 minutes ago. So.
You're fine.
You and I have had some exchange about beavers and natural passive treatment over the few months ago, and I was really excited about it. And since then, I've been speaking to some of the irrigators downstream. They have beaver relocation programs, so I wonder if people in this room or you are interested in relocating beavers to these sites to go ahead and upstart the natural treatment. Because you don't have to have a permit to relocate beavers.
And again, that makes a very good point. So we, as I said, we've expanded in the West after beavers were removed. There's a cultural impression that beavers are a nuisance species. They mess with irrigation systems. In the East, they blow out culverts for logging systems. They've been considered a nuisance species. We don't